Welcome back to the Bluffton News. Daniella Stonefield is here, and of course she is going to talk all things business, and we know that Bluffton has just continued to grow through the pandemic, but apparently that's not the whole story, and you are here to tell us that whole story.
Well, I will do what I can in the few minutes that we have. Betsy, good morning. Great to see you as always.
Yes.
So yes, as we know, and this is a conversation, of course, that we've been having with our partners in my side of the industry really throughout this entire process, which is that so many of these places that were once sort of sleepy little towns or places that just didn't see a lot of population movement by the numbers, one direction or the other for any given year, are really seeing a major spike in the changes, not only in terms of number of population, but of course, as we know, in the changing of hands of property, things of that nature.
Right.
It's really what we're calling a great reshuffling. But one of the things that's really interesting about our area, this little pocket of wonderful beauty that is Bluffton, South Carolina, is the fact that well before COVID-19 was a home topic that everybody discussed, coronavirus was a household term, right?
Right.
This was growing well before then. And so what's really interesting, if you look, the town of Bluffton uses what's called ArcGIS technology, and that's something that is a sort of a mapping data service. And so what you can actually find, and the easiest way to do it is to just Google or use your favorite search in order to say town of Bluffton, growth of Bluffton, and you can find this map, and it's really interesting. The Island Packet actually just put together a little moving video clip to show what those population numbers look like and sort of give a visual to that over time, and we're looking really in the last 30 years or so.
Okay.
But the interesting thing is that for all of this population data that you can see and all of this growth, it's based on census data, and the last bit of information is 2015. That's well before coronavirus was an issue, or even something that was discussed around the dining room table. And so what we're really seeing in this area is a massive amount of growth that really has nothing to do with the current conditions that we're seeing around the nation. And this area has been growing well before COVID-19 and will continue to grow well after this is no longer a household term.
Right, which that is hopefully sooner rather than later that it's no longer
as we all
household
hope.
term. All right, so we're going to switch gears, pun intended, because we have a little taste of life in the fast lane that has just come to town. Tell us about that.
I see what you did there. So that is K1 speed. And speaking of growth and population increase, essentially, the interesting thing is, as you are in a market, as ours is, that is seeing sustained and solid growth year over year, what you start to see is not just an increased demand for things that already exist, grocery stores, gas stations, things of that nature, but actually brand new demand for things that have never been here before. But now that the population is larger and more spread across the board in terms of demand or desires, those things are actually being recognized and filled. So K1 Speed is an indoor golf cart company. They actually have 55 franchise locations around the world, not just the country. And so they know how to analyze a potential location for a new place. And so the owner actually told the Island Packet that this was the greatest weekend opening for that company, period. Bluffton, South Carolina. So clearly there was a demand for what they have to offer.
Yes.
As more families and young people end up in the area, they're looking for things to do. Eating and drinking is wonderful. We've got, we've got a lot of that to do, but now we have all kinds of other indoor and outdoor activities to enjoy for our families.
Right, and clearly with that opening weekend, we were very excited that they came to town.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, and so to wrap things up here, as we head into the fourth quarter, there's still lots of opportunities to network with each other and get out there and meet people. Tell us a little bit about what's going on there.
Yes, there are. So instead of rattling off a whole bunch of dates and times, which I could do and would need to list all of these things, both the Bluffton Chamber of Commerce and the Hilton Head Bluffton Chamber of Commerce do a wonderful job of making sure that they have maintained communication with our business community and allow for people to have networking opportunities, whether those are in person or for a lot of the last 18 months or so via Zoom or video chat of some kind. Now we're getting back to being in person, and everybody is really, really glad about that. So there are a number of networking events that are coming up. Both chambers will be hosting young professional events for their varying young professionals organizations. There are also business after hours that are coming up. So instead of listing all of those here, what I will say to our viewers is to visit either BlufftonChamberofCommerce.org or HiltonHeadChamber.org. Go to the events page and fill your calendar because there are plenty of opportunities to connect.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Daniella, for being with us. It's always good information, and of course, it's always good to see you.
Thank you, Betsy.
The Sharks and the Bobcats squared off on Friday night in the Bluffton Bowl. We'll have some highlights after a quick break.